Hello, Holy Trinity, and happy Thursday. Today is the feast of St. Gregory the Great. And St. Gregory the Great was a monk who became pope. And he found that being pope was not necessarily to his liking because he really wanted to spend a lot of time in prayer and just being close to God. And one of the things that he wrote, this is from I think it says, a homily on Ezekiel that he wrote, was about this balance between trying to be close to God and trying to serve his people. And every time I read this, every year that it comes around, I always think of Archbishop Sample and him having to go through these things as well. And so I'll encourage you to be praying for Archbishop Sample today. I want to share with you some of this reading that St. Gregory wrote. He says, "Indeed, when I was in the monastery, I could curb my idle talk and usually be absorbed in my prayers. Since I assumed the burden of pastoral care, my mind can no longer be collected. It is concerned with so many matters. I am forced to consider the affairs of the church and of the monasteries. I must weigh the lives and acts of individuals. I am responsible for the concerns of our citizens. I must worry about the invasions of roving bands of barbarians and beware of the wolves who lie in wait for my flock. I must become an administrator, lest the religious go in want. With my mind divided and torn to pieces by so many problems, how can I meditate or preach wholeheartedly without neglecting the ministry of proclaiming the gospel?" And it's like, when I think of this and I think of Archbishop Sample and the many duties that he has and the realization that he became a priest because he loves God and wants to spend time in prayer with God, that's why I pray for him on St. Gregory's feast day. And it goes on, St. Gregory goes on, and this always makes me laugh a little bit. He says, "Moreover, in my position, I must often communicate with worldly men. At times, I let my tongue run, for if I am always severe in my judgments, the worldly will avoid me, and I can never attack them as I would. As a result, I often listen patiently to chatter. And because I too am weak, I find myself drawn little by little into idle conversation, and I begin to talk freely about matters which once I would have avoided. What once I found tedious, I now enjoy." This is the life of the Pope. This is the life of our bishops. To some extent, I see some of this in my life as a priest, although not as much. I do have the opportunity to spend time in prayer pretty easily. But certainly on this day, please be praying for our leaders, those who would like to spend more time in prayer but find themselves distracted by administrative work, by conversations that they might not wish to have, but that they need to have for the good of all of us, for avoiding gossiping while at the same time being very approachable. All of these things are the life of the Archbishop, so be praying for him today. God bless you all.